All right, thank you. Once again, this is the current status and issues of cooperative approaches under Article 6 in the areas of blue carbon. And this seminar has been co-organized with several organizations in Korea. First is the Legal Research Institute, that's a government think tank. Also CSDLAP, which I direct. And then the Korean Society of Climate Change Research. And then the COEM, that's the implementation arm of Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of Korea. And then some other government-related organizations are participating. So once again, thank you very much for joining this event. And then as we know that recently the IPCC released a very important report about the role of the ocean in addressing climate change. And since then, I think that especially in the context of implementing the Paris Agreement, there is an increasing importance of addressing the blue carbon issues in general. And then in the context that even the on the Korean side, that Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries has put its efforts to further it's increasing its efforts actually to address the issue climate change in the ocean. In the context of blue carbon has been identified as a very important one. Unfortunately, however, Korea doesn't have a large size of the land. So even if we do our every effort actually to address the blue carbon issues by ourselves, but the Korean government has also very much interested in working together with the developing countries like Indonesia to address the blue carbon issues together. And then, as you may not know, that Korean NDC has a very unique characteristics compared with most of other NDCs of the countries, in the sense that the Korean NDC identified a specific section about 12 to 13% of the emission reduction amount in year 2030 by use of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. In the sense that this has helped, I think, and will help both the Republic of Korea and other partner countries to work together to address the issues on the blue carbon. So we have a very wonderful lineup today. Once again, thank you very much those who joined from Indonesia. I know that all of you are very much occupied with your important matters, but once again, thank you very much for finding some time to share your experience and thoughts on this related issues today. We have one presentation followed by the several discussion, and then the presentation on the program says that two from the Indonesian office of the GGGI, and actually together with the Indonesian government as well. So as I understand, also with recent email communications with those who are in Indonesia, as I understand, if I'm wrong, please correct me, that Peggy Nurharbudi will be the presenter to share your experience. Is that correct? Okay, all right. Okay, that's correct. So as I understand, the Indonesian side will share their wonderful and the successful experiences in addressing the issues of the blue carbon by the Indonesian government. Actually, as I understand, two government bodies, and with the sort of the very strong support by the GGGI Indonesia office. So this is a sort of the collective efforts by the ministries and the one Indonesian organization, and then the one from the Ministry of Marine Affairs and the Fisheries of Indonesia. That's Peggy Nurharbudi. I hope that my pronunciation was okay. Actually, to share what you have achieved. So we will then have some discussions about discussion that I have asked to talk about. All right. So are you ready to share the screen? Secretariat, would you allow the speaker to share the screen?
Professor Chung,
Yes.
we already set how it goes from our side. So first, Latifa will introduce the panels, and then a little bit about our enabling blue carbon program in Indonesia, and then we give the time for Ms. Peggy Nurhapni to present, and after that, I will follow it up. Thank you.
Oh, then there will be three different presentations. Are you?
Latifa is not going to present. It's only giving a
It's
short
only one.
introduction because she's the manager of the project.
Okay. All right. All right.
Okay, thank you, Professor Chung and all of our colleagues, and very thank you for the invitation. So we are very glad to attend this invitation from the Korean Climate Research. So as you said, here in GGGI, we are working collaboratively with the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries in Indonesia, as well as the Ministry of Environment and Forestry in the project named Enabling Blue Carbon in Indonesia, where we prepare the policy framework as well as the MRV design. Actually, we are just starting. So Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries has been doing this for quite a long time, and Ibu Peggy will explain that to you, to all of you, how Indonesia built the blue carbon sector. And just to provide some context, currently Indonesia, our island is one of the biggest archipelago. So we have 17,000 islands spanning over 5,000 kilometers from east to west. And we think that we have a we have a big future in blue carbon initiative and also blue carbon ecosystem protection. However, in our Indonesia's carbon trading policy right now, which is currently, we think that it's relatively unfamiliar to other countries. So that's why we are very happy that we can share our policy here. So we can discuss how our progress to the NDC on the blue carbon will happen. And the thing is that according to the data from our Central Statistic Agency in 2021, we are still struggling with 4% extreme poverty rate, especially in the coastal region, where it also affected by the climate change and environmental degradation. So as we, Indonesia, advance to the blue carbon and carbon trading, we think we need a comprehensive and equitable approach, which is very crucial, where we also need to address the coastal community needs, balancing environment sustainability and economic growth. So the first step to do that is to put the blue carbon sector in the NDC, because currently our NDC doesn't have any target for the blue carbon. However, actually in our regulation, we need to put that first in the NDC. So I look forward for our discussion later. And I will give the floor right now to Ibu Peggy. Thank you, Professor Chung.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
Can you hear me clearly? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Hi, my name is Peggy Nurhapni from the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries of Indonesia. I'm currently the Deputy Director for Disaster Mitigation and Climate Change Adaptation. So our ministry is the coordinator for ocean climate issues in Indonesia. Thank you. Presentation could be very...
Yeah, it's being loaded. So I think we
Loaded.
need to wait a little bit.
Okay, so
Now we can set. Right. Thank you.
on full screen, please. Yes. Yeah, we put it on full screen or myself then. Turn it off and I will share by myself. Okay. Okay. Everybody can see my screen now?
Yeah, if you can have a full screen, that looks better, much better. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's already, but yes, problem. So talking about blue carbon, biggest world's blue carbon, and from this map, I took this from the UNEP, and you can see all of our coastline are blue and green because it's full of seagrass and also mangrove. So it's about 70% of the world reservoir. For us, blue carbon play important role actually in the context of UNFCCC. Like I say, we are the coordinator for national coordinator for ocean climate issues. We always promote nature-based solution and ecosystem-based adaptation approach, and in that, one of them is the blue carbon. So during the process in the UNFCCC, not the negotiation actually, it's still like in dialogue, we always promote the blue carbon. So it's also happens next in the COP28. We still have to have a cooperation with some other countries to push the issue of blue carbon into the decision of the COP. Maybe that's from the framework of UNFCCC. This one is the mandate. The national coordinator for ocean climate. And so the issues on ocean climate, not only blue carbon, right? So it's all under our coordination. And we also have a presidential regulation number 98, 2021, that mandated the blue carbon under the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, both for mitigation and adaptation. So, and this one also can be seen in the national policy. There are two lines there. The first is our national midterm development plan, or what we call RPJMN. In our RPJMN, we have a policy that lead to low carbon development plan. So it's for mitigation action and also the climate resilient development policy. This is for adaptation. But blue carbon ecosystem actually cover the both policy because it's not only for carbon storage, but also for coastal resilience. And then on the second line, you can see our NDC. So our recent NDC is enhanced NDC published last year in 2022. So in this NDC, we increase our ambition for greenhouse gas emission reduction from 29 to 31.8% unconditionally, and 41 to 43.2% conditionally in 2030. So to implement the NDC, we also have several documents or guidelines for mitigation, roadmap for mitigation, for adaptation, and also the long-term strategy for low carbon and climate resilient in 2050. How about the NDC? So our NDC consists of two, right? The mitigation and adaptation. In the mitigation for the greenhouse gas emission reduction, mangrove has been counted in FOLUS sector, so forest and other land use sector, while seagrass Right now we are in process to count seagrass potential, and it's still not part of the NDC. We haven't touched about salt marshes because it's not very significant for us. We are in tropical countries, and even though we have maybe a slight bit of salt marshes, but that's not very significant for us. And while in adaptation context, the coastal ecosystem, including blue carbon, mangrove and seagrass, are system and landscape. So this we are the potential Indonesia's area and about 0.8 million hectares, about 11.5 compared to world sea. So it's quite big. And if map, you can yes. Okay. You can see that for seagrass, dominant area is the of Indonesia. So yeah, we still west part of Indonesia dominant in the eastern part of we are trying the potential and last 2 weeks in the Island State Forum in Bali, we the inventory for seagrass. Okay. Sorry, am I clear? Is the video is clear or is that frozen? I'm sorry for the question.
I think in general we could understood what you wanted to show us, but there is a little bit of the disruption because of the weak signal. But generally, we understood what you wanted to share.
Okay, yes. Okay, then I can share also the link on the chat if you
That would
need
be
it.
great. Right.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You this profile not it's still very very rough, maybe tier one calculation, but it's a living document, and we're trying to make it more and more accurate, and hopefully this seagrass can be part of our second end. We are trying to have our second NDC to publish our second NDC next year, and not in 2025. So it will be in 2024. In order to accelerate the blue carbon seagrass management in Indonesia, actually, we try to map some of the actions that we need actually. First, it's under the NDC, and the second is for carbon pricing. So there are a lot of actually a lot of things happen parallel right now, because we are targeting the 2024 for second NDC. So from the NDC side, we have to trying to validate more, continuing validate the national seagrass map, and also to revise our national standard for seagrass mapping. So it's undergoing process, and right now we are in cooperation with the BRIN, with our research national research agency, and also with the Gajah Mada University for this. And also for the methodology, right now we are already submitting the proposed methodology actually to the Ministry of Environment and Forestry as our national focal point. And well, it's still quite long. Maybe we have to discuss it with the panel of methodology, the expert panel of methodology and things like that. But we're trying to do it until next year. You have work carbon profile. We need to we need to really make it more implementable, the implementation more smoothly, because we will have to line enough with the people from the local office, and also with the people of the colleague from university, and also NGO and other parties. And we also develop the MRV application system, and also will develop national standard for seagrass carbon measurement. That's for NDC. And for the carbon pricing side, actually MMR as two. First, as the other is as LVV. LVV is and verification agency. I don't know whether you're aware or not, because presidential regulation, we have to have our own LVV, national LVV, and right now we have 4 LVV standardized, accredited by our National Accreditation Committee. So KKP, the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, also have ambition become of one of the LVV. But that will be another unit, because the regulator and LVV cannot be on the same. Will be the regulator. So I prepare first roadmap, and also the scheme. The scheme will be include how to have a mitigation action plan document, and also how to establish the mitigation action report. So that will be under the what we call NEC. NEC is nilai economic carbon, or carbon pricing in English. And as cross-cutting for all the blocks here, we have regulations. This is very urgency, because it's very not urgency. It's very urgent, because that will be the legal basis for us before we can implement all the action, especially right now, the one that people in Indonesia is like very excited about is about the carbon market, because we just launched the carbon carbon exchange, IDX. So people is like, oh, okay, we can sell carbon. So they're looking for us and us whether we already can sell the blue carbon and etc. Because, but honestly, the regulation is not. So that will bring us to the gaps, challenges, and opportunities for the future development. Right now, what we need is to emphasize and to define the carbon pricing scheme. What is the best scheme for blue carbon? And can we try it in several areas as pilot project? Because I think that would be interesting if we are not saying something about we don't want to only set a policy, but without trying it in the several areas and piloting the carbon pricing strategy will be a good action before we really launch the scheme and also the roadmap. The second one is the policy and regulation, because right now, like I said previously, we still lack of some policy and regulations to support the policy, and that need to be speeding up in order not to, we don't want any lack of regulation during time like this, because right now people is very eager to have the trading, the result-based payment and everything, and we need to regulate that soon. The sooner is better. And then the last one is the governance for blue carbon. So that how is the governance from the central government, local, provincial, district, and until the village level? Because usually when you're talking about the blue carbon, who owns them? That will be mostly is the local community, and how can they have a benefit from that? I think that's very important to like understand that, and to make sure all stakeholders are involved and get benefit from the policy. And the last one is capacity building, because when we're trying to say something about blue carbon, is not only when you see mangrove, you see seagrass, you know the stock is not only that. You need capacity building for that. You need capacity building to more research, so that maybe we can have a tier 2 or tier 3 calculation maybe in few years, because Indonesia is very big. We are a very big country, so different characteristics, western, the central, and the eastern part. So there's a lot of dynamics that we have to face. And then so the capacity building for, especially not only for central government but also for local government, and also our partners, the NGO and also the university, is very needed. And for my last two slides, Professor Chen and colleague, it's more on the carbon pricing. Actually, this is the national framework for our carbon pricing. You can see here the basis is the President Regulation number 98, 2021. And then each ministry has to make their own regulation under the so this is LHK is the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. This is the Energy, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. And also this one is OJK. What is OJK? OJK, Otoritas Jasa Keuangan. It's more like what?
Finance.
Services, Finance Authority. Yeah, because the IDX is under the OJK. Yeah, so we have to make, before we can go to, we're talking about carbon pricing itself. You can see here, Fisher's regulation on, and also can see it because this ocean sector is potential from the capture fishery industry. Is still ongoing. It's still an ongoing ready to this one. I'm because change that, but an idea how is the mechanism of Indonesia carbon pricing actually. So we start with the NDC. NDC is in the NDC, there's a mitigation and adaptation action, right? And those two can be part of carbon, the subject of carbon pricing here. Next is carbon pricing. We recognize four approach for carbon pricing. It's first the carbon trading. Here, perdagangan carbon is carbon trading. And second one, we have result-based payment and also carbon tax. This one, the fourth one, is more like open suggestion. We only have three here. The fourth one is will be adjusted to the adjusted to the future requirement. For the carbon trade itself, we have the emission trade and also the emission offset. So it's a choice. And for the both for carbon market and also carbon trading and result-based payment, you will need MRV so that it can the unit will be in form of what we call what is it in English? Technical PTBAE is the cap and trade. So it's a cap and trade, and also the other one is the emission certificate. So I hope this can give you an overview how the system of carbon pricing take place in Indonesia. Now, blue carbon of mangrove here can be have a result-based payment project, a big one in East Kalimantan. It's with World Bank and Norway. And the new one is here, for the launch of IDX and everything will be here. And mangrove already part of it actually. But what we doing right now at the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries is on seagrass. And then if we see from this diagram, then our process will be, we still very new and still try to be part of NDC. So we still need some steps before we can go to the trade, the result-based payment, or other kind of carbon pricing. I think that's all from me, Professor Chen. Pak Taswin, you have something else to add? The floor is yours, Pak.
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Peggy. Professor Chung, should I just continue, or you need to?
Yeah, maybe we can have flow. It's a good flow, so you can add something if you want.
Okay. Can I share my screen too?
Yeah, sure.
That'll be great. you
Can
see
you
it?
make it a full screen? Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a while, like last time.
I see.
Yeah. We have a connection problem. So, good afternoon, late afternoon in your time, everyone. Professor Chung and Dr. Forgot the name. Yeah, the secretary and then the others. I'm Taswin Munir, representing GGGI Indonesia, together with Latifa Sita Dewi. Actually, both of us are preparing this presentation, but Latifa wants me to present it for all of you all. So now I'm sitting at the ministry side by side with Ms. Peggy and the other two colleagues, Mr. Barnett and Ms. Rini. Yeah. The director is in East Java, so we're using his office right now. So we still have the feeling of Mr. Yusuf be present here. So you know that we have this high potential for the ocean sector on blue carbon. We have mangrove and we have seagrass, salt marshes, as in the book. Up to now, the government, also the academicians, we haven't really counted as part of the blue carbon sector yet. So just focus on these two, mangrove and seagrasses. And then since 2015, we have NDC ready. 2016, the government of Indonesia launched its first NDC. And then 2021, we had our updated NDC, which introduced ocean or blue carbon sector as part of the adaptation. And the enhanced NDC last year, the government of Indonesia announced that it will be part of the mitigation, but then it needs some efforts to put this blue carbon, especially mangrove and seagrasses, into the NDC or our NDC. And then this is going to be part of our second NDC, which planned to be launched next year, 2024. Okay. I'm introducing you actually to our newly approved project supported by the government of Canada. It is part of the Canadian government commitment during the COP20 in Bali last year. And then we have this project called Enabling Blue Carbon. The overarching theme is actually to help the government, especially two ministries responsible for the blue carbon and NDC, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, MOEF, and then Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, MMIF, to put the blue carbon, sit there as a sixth sector in NDC, and then we have these efforts from national down to the local level, if possible at village level. And we have the regulation already, as Ms. Peggy described. It's not an easy task, but then it's still possible to do so. So the project will support two outcomes. First is formulation of robust policy enabling framework, and then the second one is enabling the MRV system. The existing now is only focusing on terrestrial carbon or forest, tropical forest, and then we're trying to make this system works also for seagrasses and mangrove database. So we hit two ultimate goals, which is first enhance the national blue carbon policy framework. When we say policy framework, we are talking about how all related government officials, ministries and agencies really have one view of this blue carbon. They're not rushing as something new toy. Nobody is stepping on each other's shoes, but then it's coordinated, managed well, and then there's fair gameplay where people talking about carbon, blue carbon from the start, like Ms. Peggy described how people are so excited, and then before having the stock, they're ready to trade. So they have to be in a very good process, and then listen to the ministries and agency who has mandates by the law. So that's the part of the policy framework. So we're making it we're making it right, since we have a new administrations coming up after election in February 2024. The new president will be inaugurated in October 2024. So this is a good timing for the project to really convince all the decision makers that we really need to do something about the policy framework. This country is really big. Now we have 4 new provinces, so 38 provinces, 460 something sub districts and towns, and then 74,000 villages. So that's the first goal. The second goal is enhance use of the system, the monitoring system, the MRV monitoring. Monitoring, reporting, and verification. So national agency will do the verification, but then at the subnational, they will do the monitoring, reporting, and what do you call it? MMR, yeah, monitoring and reporting.
Verification. Verification.
Yeah, the verification will be national, but the subnational, they don't do the verification. It's we call it MMR.
I see.
Measuring, sorry, monitoring, measuring, and reporting. That's the task at the subnational. And then when it goes to the ministry, we call it MRV system, monitoring, reporting, and verification. So only the national can verify. The subnational will measure. Okay, the first one, which is the policy framework, consists of policy and planning and institutional arrangement. Right now, we have several ministries and agencies has directorates related to the blue carbon, and it needs to be really managed and then governed. So we have a good governance of who's doing what. And then the second outcome will be to boost on methodology and data activity, and then institutional capacity. As Ms. Peggy mentioned, we need capacity at the government level, from national to subnational, because this is just a new thing and everybody is so excited, and then they forgot the boundary, who's doing what. Okay, next. When we this project Blue Carbon focus on efforts at national, we need to do some piloting or pilot project at the subnationals, and then the government of Canada also is supporting, still in the process of approving, new project called Nature-Based Solutions for Climate Smart Livelihood, or NASCLIM, in mangrove landscape. It's the abbreviation is NASCLIM. So it focuses not only on policy and on the measuring and data analysis and capacity building, but it goes straight through the heart, work with the community, and then the policy is improved from national down to village level. And then also we make use of the investment commodities, improving the quality, connect them with market, connect them network from of the communities from local to even region until Asia. So we have mangrove related communities like shrimp, tiger shrimp, like crabs, mud crabs. So we have seaweeds. So we have others that, like Ms. Peggy said earlier, that who's the blue carbon, the carbon trading for? It should also improve the quality of the people live within the mangrove and seagrasses. And then collaborative management, meaning that we will work together, vertical way, national, subnational, and then horizontal way with all stakeholders, the privates, the cooperatives, and others. And then it is a nature-based solution. So we make sure that it's a nature-based, not linked with other political hierarchy or other issues or other hidden agenda. So it's a really nature-based, how to read the nature, how to read what the ecosystem needs, and then we'll plan the programs and then backed up by the policy. Okay, all for now. It's open for discussion later on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So thank you for the 3 combined joint presentations, so that you make the 3 as a one. Okay, so thank you very much. So before actually we heard about the situation in Indonesia, actually, I think all the Koreans here wondered what is the status of progress that has been made in the Indonesian side. And then there has been the sort of the conventional way of cooperating in the mangrove sector. And then can he make a further progress? And then I think it's a really great achievement made by the government of Indonesia and then Global Green Growth Institute in a way of actually incorporating very advanced systems under the Paris Agreement into the frame of the Indonesians' new national plan in the context implementing NDC. So as I understand, if I'm wrong, please correct me. So there are two very good candidates in the blue carbon area. One is mangrove and the other one is seagrass. While mangrove area has made more progress, whereas seagrass needs to be taken care of a little bit more. There are some differences between these two. And then in terms of the, who's gonna deal with the mangrove and seagrass in Indonesia in terms of division of the responsibilities among different ministries, from your presentation, what I have found is that Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, right? Is there one? Is a MMF, right? Is responsible for the mangrove and seagrass, whereas Ministry of Environment and Forestry takes care of the more like a transparency related issues in Indonesia. Is that correct?
I let Ms. Peggy answer this.
Yeah, and then also forestry's issues on land will be taken care of by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. So I found that there is a very good division of work in Indonesia on this issue. I guess that there are some issues left between these two, but it can be a good model because in Korea we have a similar systems existing here. Regarding the forestry issues, we have Korea Forestry Service, and also Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries takes care of the area in the ocean. So there is a general division of work. And then your system that Indonesia has developed already provided good indications on how two government bodies, even in Korea, can work together. And then, as I understand that there are two different components in your efforts. First one is the mitigation activities, right? How we can actually reduce greenhouse gas emissions in mangrove and seagrass. And also, we do understand it as an adaptation aspect as well. So there is a one that used to be done a lot with other donor countries before. And there is a new one that coming up, I think thanks to the Paris Agreement, that's about the carbon pricing component. And then you are looking at different, systems of result-based, payment coming from the Red Plus scheme, I guess. And then also tax system, you are testing whether or not it can be possible to be used. And then offset and trading. And then my question, one little question was that when you talk about the offset trading, are you thinking of international activities or it's within the Indonesia? Maybe you can answer on this one. In general, my impression is that Indonesia is making pretty good progress. I think Indonesia has been a champion of the forestry and Red Plus sector for a long time, though, since Copenhagen, I guess. So in the sense that it can be a pretty good international model that, other potential donor countries or, countries who are interested in working together in Indonesia may consider to a large extent to work together on this issue. And then I said that when you said, I have several questions. Number one, when you said offsetting and then the trading, did you mean that it will also include international aspect as well? Number two, that I was interested to know more that in terms of the term, the corresponding adjustment. So does the Indonesian government takes care of the issues of corresponding adjustment issues under the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, meaning that taking care of the issues on the inventory, national inventory. If you would transfer ITMOs later on to another country, for instance, then we need to do the corresponding adjustment. Of course, in case of a voluntary carbon market, you may not need to do that. But if we want to work with other governments outside Indonesia in terms of transferring ITMOs, then corresponding adjustment is very important and needs to be made on the inventory. So before I giving my floor to the Korean discussants, as I raised just several questions that maybe my Indonesian colleagues may answer on, and then before moving to the next discussions. So anybody can answer on my questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry I cannot open my
That's
my
fine.
camera. Yeah, for the offset actually. So the carbon trade, both offset and also the emission. Offset, and the other one is trade. Is can be applied at the national and also for international market. But there are certain requirements that need to be fulfilled before we can transfer the credit to international buyer. I think that the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, as a national focal point, as said, they have a regulation about that. I think that's ongoing regulation because everything right now is very fast. We have a kind of new policy, new regulation every month, because it's all going parallel. Yeah, but if you under the presidential regulation, but that option is open. You can transfer the credit to international buyer.
Sure.
But I haven't seen any implementation, real implementation actually, except for yeah, I think no, under the regulation, the president regulation, no transaction yet.
Maybe you can make a first case with Korea. Okay, all right. Can you answer all the other questions of mine, the corresponding adjustment and others? Is there anybody? Taswin, can you comment on this? Or Peggy, if you can, that would be great. Because I don't see you, so I didn't know
Could
how.
you repeat the questions for us, Sachung?
So, in order to transfer ITMOs later, then there is a very important requirement under the Paris Agreement that's carrying out the corresponding adjustment, right? In order to avoid the double counting. So in other words, from the inventory of Indonesia, you need to deduct mitigation outcome that will be transferred to, say, in this case, assuming Korea, right? So you need to deduct, and then we need to add same amount. We call it as a corresponding adjustment. So to do so, national inventory needs to be well maintained to be able to do so. And from my point of view, maybe government Indonesia may need to have at least a government unit to take care of this issue, right? In Korea, we do have it. But I wonder whether Indonesian government is preparing for this aspect as well.
Yeah. For Indonesia, all the carbon need to be registered under what we call the national registry system. That's under the Ministry of Environment. So they will handle the inventory, and also all the transaction must be through the system.
Yeah. So in general, that the Indonesian government has a capacity actually to do so, and then the only issue is that when it will happen in reality, right? All right. Maybe I think some audience may have more questions, but before doing that, we have two important discussions from the Korea. The first discussant is Ms. Ji Young-yang, Deputy Director from the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries. And then Mr. Yang, are you ready to say something that you prepared for? Then the floor is yours. We don't hear you. You need to volume up. I don't hear your voice. So Ms. Yang is responsible for the issues of implementing Article 6 within this ministry. We don't hear you. You are muted. Actually, Ms. Yang, you are muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you, so you can start.
Hi, this is Yang. I'm very glad to join this meeting. First, I appreciate Indonesia government, and I look forward to working with Indonesia government in near future. Korea has set a significant target for 2030 by committing to reducing emissions.
Ms. Yang, just hold on. Maybe you can get a help from someone next to you because your voice is not that clear enough to understand everything. So okay, that's better to use the microphone. Okay.
Korea.
Yeah, it's much better. And then there is echo, so you need to turn off another speaker if you have.
됐어요? Korea has set a significant target for 2030 by committing to reducing emissions by 40% compared to 2018 levels. But under this ambitious goal, our international reduction target is specifically set at 37.5 billion tons. We've established a third legal framework to support international reduction project. In the ocean and fisheries sector, the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries has designated the COEM as the dedicated agency. And the ministry is exploring projects that can be effectively implemented in this sector. Following the result of last year COP27, the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries signed a MOU with the GGGI to strengthen our commitment to NDC implementation. Detailed discussions are currently underway to finalize the specifics of this collaboration. We are actively pursuing Article 6 of the Paris Agreement and emphasizing it most as a means of achieving the NDCs. This includes collaboration in various fields, particularly blue carbon. Our Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries is actively seeking research cooperation with Indonesia, focusing on the blue carbon sector. This extends beyond technology exchange to encompass international GHG reduction project. Looking ahead, we are committed to initiating international reduction projects more comprehensively from 2024 onward, effectively utilizing the budget we have secured. The Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries and COEM and GGGI are working together to establish national and sector-specific strategies for international reduction projects. We plan to roll out pilot and main projects starting in 2025. In 2024, our focus will be identifying project target countries and establishing local project conditions. This process will prioritize partner countries and selected from our domestic initiated international reduction project. Utilizing the GGGI extensive network, we will assess the demand for international reduction project in target country, implement capacity building program, and provide administrative and legal support. Building on the result of the reduction strategy set to be implemented in 2024, we will commence pilot and main project from 2025. This journey begins with rigorous feasibility studies conducted through local investigations based on initial project selection. As a result, we finally obtain mitigation outcomes. We are committed to exploring pathways that connect project target country with specific project. In the case of Indonesia, but our ongoing collaboration and shared value around blue carbon make the country an excellent partner in our shared mission to reduce GHG emissions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So in order to further clarify for the Indonesian colleagues that there was a bit of the sort of the updates in the Korean NDC target earlier this year by putting more emphasis on the role of the overseas emission reduction. This is our term. That's the how to use the ITMOS, in other words. As I said, it will cover about 12 to 13% of the total emission reduction target in year 2030, the amount of which is about 35 million tons. So it's quite a lot. That's what Korea aims to working together with the developing countries. And then in this context, there is issues of the sink, how the sort of the mangrove and the seagrass can play its important role. And as I understand that the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries just started to realize the importance of the blue carbon in this context. And then I also helped that a little bit last year that Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries made an MOU with the Global Green Growth Institute, which was signed during the occasion of the COP27 between the two bodies in order to collaborate to develop and then implement the Article 6 related activities in the partner countries. I guess, one of the very good candidates will be Indonesia, if they can be possibly pursued. So I think this is a summary of what Ms. Yang emphasized actually in her brief discussions. Now, as she said that COEM, that's a Korean Environment Management Corporation, right? COEM has been
Korea Marine Environment Management Corporation. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, thank you. I was you called it as COEM, and that COEM actually has been a designated agency by the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries in implementing this scheme. So we also invited Dr. Skilly from COEM so that she can add more discussions in addition to what Ms. Yang has mentioned. So Dr. Lee, are you ready?
Yes,
Okay,
but Ms. Yang and the Professor Zhang already mentioned many things, but I will try to talk today. So I haven't much to add in this discussion, but I want to emphasize the MOU, the objective of MOU between Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of Korea and the GGGI. The objective was to create ITMO from the blue carbon project as a first priority, top priority. And so Ms. Yang already introduced some plans from next year, and we want to start the feasibility study with GGI. The purpose of this feasibility study is to seek to find the opportunity to get ITMO from the blue carbon sector. I already understood from your presentation that mangrove is already a part of the NDC and the Indonesian NDC, and we want to start from mangrove restoration for the blue carbon project with Indonesia. In fact, the mangrove is, of course, the forest sector in Indonesia, but we think it also the major blue carbon resources. So what I wonder is the mangrove is divided into forest mangrove or marine mangrove. I wonder if Indonesia divide that, or if you don't define it separately, that we want to work with mangrove in Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries in Indonesia on this matter. And what I want to add one more is the policy consistency. I think it is very important element for the international project. I heard that 2024 in Indonesia, the new administration will be started. So other partners in Korea are now starting to find some opportunities for ITMO project, and they are worried about the consistency, how to ensure the transaction or the transferring of the ITMO. And so I think the mutual trust for the project and the agreement, the robust agreement is very important to promote, to implement the ITMO project within countries. I stop here.
Right. All right. So maybe one of the colleagues from Indonesia may answer the questions that Dr. Lee has raised.
Sorry, Dr. Lee, could you rephrase the questions? It's a bit vague to us.
My question is very simple. The mangrove is divided into forest mangrove and marine mangrove or estuary mangrove in Indonesia.
So in other words, she was asking from my point of view that what is the division of the jurisdiction between on your side, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry and then MMF. And then you have one more question, Dr. Lee, right? Is it all?
That was another question. That was a comment for further development of the project. I think the consistency for the policy to make a project is very important.
Okay, all right. So she raised one question.
Okay, for the first question on jurisdiction, actually mangrove is under several ministries. The management is under the several ministry because we have Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, and also the BRGM, the Mangrove and Peatland Restoration Agency. And then we still have also national government and local government, also the provincial and district level.
We lost you. So maybe you can.
I'll close the camera. I think that's better.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we are talking in the term of carbon pricing, and actually in the one of the ministerial regulations said that the management of each kind of mangrove is different. So if it's under, it's a forest area that will be under the jurisdiction of Ministry of Environment and Forestry. But other than that, that will be under the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, together with the governor and also the mayor or the region. So yeah, you can see the difference. So forest and non-forest mangroves. That's how
All
we
right.
divide it. Yeah.
And then I assume that there should be a technical guidance on how you define that this one belongs to forest mangrove, this one defines with something else, right? So I assume that Indonesian government has that guideline to make the things clear. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, which one is the forest area and non-forest area is already clear because it's already part of our spatial planning. Yeah, you can see that from our spatial planning for each province. It's very clear there. Because
Okay.
forest area is always out of development area, right? Because it's a conservation, it's for protection, so it cannot be touched actually. So it's very exclusive under the Ministry of Environment and Forestry.
All right. So in Korea, as I understand that the ministries emphasize the importance of so working together without having any unnecessary disputes or misunderstanding. So I think they do prefer having clear guidance in order to avoid any potential conflicts in the implementation stage. So maybe that's why definitely raised the question. Now, I think as I said, my impression and then the lessons that I got and the information that I learned is that while actually Indonesia has made a lot of progress, being ready almost to be able to engage in the mitigation activities in the context of the using Article 6. So in the sense that we learned a lot, and then thank you very much for the presentations and also wonderful discussions by the two Korean discussants. There are many actually participants in this room, and then we have about 10 minutes left. And so if you have any questions or comments, this is the time when you can raise them. And then if we want to do that, please identify yourself. Of course, you need to turn on your camera so that we can see your face. So anybody who can raise their question or having comments? Or you want to go with the Korean style? If you have language issues, if you speak Korean, then I can interpret it for you.
Yeah.
Anybody? All right. My colleagues here in this room wants to exercise a Korean practice. Koreans are usually silent. We said that silence golden, so they want to be rich. That's why they want to be a little bit silent. So I have then additional questions though. Okay, assuming that I think Indonesian government seems to be on the right track. And then with great help of the Global Greenhouse Institute, I'm a big fan of the GGGI, as you may not know. I used to be a council member of the GGGI before, and then so I'm really happy to see the fast growing organization of the GGGI. And then my question is very simple. Okay, if we can work together very much well, then what will be the first year of transporting litmus between, say, Indonesia or between Indonesia and some other country? And then which will be the first year of including that information in the BTR, which year? So as I understand, I need to check it out, but as I understand, next year is the first year to submit the BTR by the member countries of the UNFCCC. It will come every 2-year cycle. So if we want to be extremely positive on everything, then when we can make the first case that will appear on newspaper of 2 countries. Anybody can answer on this from Indonesia? or still we need to think about this issue a little more?
Oh, well, it's been clearly explained by Ms. Feggy earlier that we are not we are in no stage yet ready for the trading or what do you call adjustment capacity corresponding adjustment efforts, because even though there are I mean it's the institutions ready, the legality, the already regulations are ready, and the administration is supporting. I think it will be for domestic only, and then for the moment, and we have no idea since next year it will be change of administrations, and then some ministries might be changed their business process, and then their leadership, and then their authorities. We are playing safe by not declaring the time yet. So maybe inventory and improving the methodology, and then policy framework is being enhanced, and then with this big stretch of governments from
if I may add,
to village level, I think we need more time to really consolidate, and then make sure that even local government understand the word carbon trading, because all of a sudden there's so many private companies are rushing to the local government and say we need to trade.
That's for the voluntary carbon market.
Don't want to lose the forests and mangroves because of this excitement. So really apologize for not being able to answer the question.
I think Latifa may have something to say.
Yes, Professor Chung, continuing for our previous conversation, I think we are also interested to have like maybe collaboration or something. What we see in Indonesia right now is that there are several possibilities. For example, as Pak Taswin and Bu Fegi say, to improve our emission factor, for example. Currently for mangrove, we only have like for, is it Tuparnohan? So forest cover, but for the soil and the below ground, we haven't really identified the possibilities, as well as for the seagrass. So there are huge possibility, Professor Chung. So my question is there any possibility for collaboration in the future, because you are obviously working in research institute, having a lot of connection? Is there any possibility to talk further, increase the emission factor, and also the distribution on the improving our blue carbon sector? So based on that collaboration, maybe it's easier than to talk about the carbon trading. So what do you think?
Well, so I know that this is not a time for me to give a lecture to anybody in this room, but I often visit the developing countries to facilitate dialogues between those countries and Republic of Korea. Then there are several different ways of transporting ITMOS. First of all, number one starting point is that ITMOS needs to be identified in terms of the ultimate purposes to be used. It'll be used for the NDC implementation, or it'll be used for other international mitigation purposes, or technical terms OIMP. Okay, most of the private companies who are approaching the developing country governments, they are interested in using them for the voluntary carbon market. Okay, but in case of Korea, those colleagues here, they are talking about government to cooperation. So in the sense that, as I indicated, that Korea has a very ambitious target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by the Article 6. Okay, so that it's almost mandatory in the Korean context. So there is a huge one. And then second, what I would like to suggest to say here, Indonesian colleagues, that when you approach this issue, think about the carbon finance issue. What other financial resources that will come to Indonesia? It's not only about the selling and buying the the ITMOS, right? The credits, right? It can be packaged with a bigger scale. right? Talking about we have a great plan of promoting green ODA. It can be packaged, okay? And then Korean government's very important foreign policy is about Indo-Pacific region, okay? So we have a new Indo-Pacific strategy, and then we can put that in that context as a major component. Then I'm sure that the President of Korea would be interested in meeting your president to talk about, very grand strategies in terms of cooperation with Indonesia. And then here we can put, for instance, mangrove as a key example. So there are different ways. Some issues can be done at the technical level. Some others needs to be packaged with a larger scale of the political dialogue. And then I think the two governments, as I understand, with also help of the Global Green Growth Institute, have a pretty good capacities actually to be able to engage in this endeavor. And I think in this context that I think the only matter is whether or not the two governments have a willingness to cooperate. Okay, and technical matters, we study the details of the Article 6 rules and regulations, and then we address the national legislation and rules, and then we can do that. It's not that difficult though. Simply, moving the mitigation outcomes from the Indonesian inventory to say Korean inventory. Ultimately, we are working on that. And other technical matters can be done because we already have a great number of experts, actually, even in this room, to take care of them, as long as we have a very fine-tuned policy, guidance to come from the top level of the government. I think that's what I can say. And I saw the potential on the Indonesian side that actually there are good opportunities that we can generate. And Korea is ready actually to do so. We don't have to, talk about it, right? So this is my personal, I'm not a representative of the government, but this is my personal, observation. And then finally, I do hope that the two governments, in case the two governments would agree to work on, start at a large scale. If not national level, but sub-national level. We call it as a jurisdictional approach, right? So if we will start with a very individual project level, then it will become very complicated later on. So I do suggest that the two governments would engage in the discussions about the jurisdictional approach so that we can make a big story to the world. Actually, so that's my additional observation that I wanted to share. I think we are approaching the time to close. So I'd like to invite the Indonesian side for your final statements before we finish this seminar. So who wants to make a final remarks?
Thank you, Professor Chen, Korean colleague. I think we have a very productive discussion actually. So I can understand what the purposes and yeah. But we are right now, I think, in Indonesia also in the process of for everything for the blue carbon. So a process for the trading mechanism, process for seagrass is in a process of having it being part of NDC. So yeah, you are already seen that in my presentation, but yeah, but we are open to discuss it with you because but we cannot like have a commitment right now because I think it's still yeah, it takes a long way, right? It's a national policy and also it's part of negotiation also because our priority is our NDC, right? And we have to recalculate again the NDC because next year we will have the new NDC, and after that, I think we can see which part can be which how much that we can lose from our inventory. But one thing that I think that for sure that all the transaction has to be through the national registry system, because there's a unit transfer there. Yeah, there's an inventory transfer. So even though it's a voluntary market or a compliance market, all have to go through the one platform, what we call the SRNPPI, the National Registry System for Climate Change. And that's apply for all sectors, not only blue carbon, but all sectors in the NDC. I think that's from me, but I would like to, if you want to have more discussion, you can reach me or Pak Taswin or Latifa, I think, and we can have more discussion on that. Thank you.
All right. By the way, is there anybody who will come to COP28 venue? Anybody comes to Dubai?
I will.
Oh, you will? Then I can invite you to the side event. That's scheduled
Okay.
at 9 a.m. on the December the 5th. Okay. Usually I used to invite Frank actually for his Congress remarks in this series. So you are more than welcome to come and then meet the even the people here. Okay, they will be all in the venue. So that we can have face-to-face follow-up discussions as well. Okay, I think in the world of Article 6 related issues, you need to have two components. One is technical capacity of implementing the schemes. Okay, this is what largely Indonesia is working really well. At the same time, because we want to walk on the road where nobody has walked before. So we need to have a very strong political coordination, which will ensure that the technical, issues can be addressed safely without having any risk for anybody. So I think in this endeavor, I think between the Republic of Korea and Indonesia, if two governments will set up the two different layers of the cooperation, together with potential participation, room for the participation of the private sector, right? Because eventually climate financing will come from the private sector. But question is, what are the purposes for the private sector to use those mitigation outcomes at most for the voluntary purpose or for the NDC purpose? That's a different story, right? But I indicated that Korea is very unique. You may not find this very much interested by the government to working together with another government to implement NDCs. It's very, very rare. It's less than 5 countries in the world, I think. And Korea is one of them. Korea has a potential actually to lead the discussions. I always call it as G2G cooperation. So in the sense that it was a very good and productive actually discussions that we have made. And I should say thank you very much for all the speakers who spared your time to share their experiences. Of course, I cannot avoid naming some of the people who spend the days and nights to prepare for this, Professor Lim, and then Subin, and then some others who worked together with us to organize this seminar. So thank you very much for all. And then some of you, maybe we can get together over the coffee and over the event in Dubai to have some follow-up discussions. All right? Okay. So unless you have any other statement that you want to make, maybe we can finish the seminar here. Before we leave, let's take a picture together. So can you all turn on your camera? I know you are all handsome and beautiful, so don't be afraid. Please turn on your cameras. If you cannot, that's fine. But if you can turn on your camera, then you can do so. Okay, Secretariat, can you take a picture? I will count 1, 2, 3 so that you can take a picture. I will share that together. Also, if Indonesian side, if you can share the files of the presentation, then we can share them with the Korean audience. Okay, so my secretary will contact you so that you can confirm that if you can do that. All right, so I will count 3, then let's take a picture. 1, 2, 3. Okay, is it okay, Subin? Okay, can you go? All right. Thank you very much. I will see you around. Okay.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Thank you very much.
Professor Chung,
Bye-bye.
before we end this meeting,
Thank you.
could you make sure that you send us the recording of this meeting?
Yeah,
Some
sure.
of
I
our
will do
colleagues
that.
in
Yeah, we will share the link for you. Okay. We will also know. Yeah, we will share the link for sure. All right. You can start the recording, Subin.